What is going on, Momentum fam? Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. I actually just touched down back in Miami. Thinking about hitting the pool right there because it is pretty damn hot, and I've been in a cold place, Boston. Yeah, I was actually telling my family, specifically my mom. I had told her, hey mom, after moving to Miami, every time I come back to Boston, it really makes me realize that I would never want to live here again. The weather is just not it. I feel like the city's too small for me at this point. And it's more of a corporate world, and that's why we moved out to Miami. You guys can say hi to our little babies right here. Some of my favorite plants. If you guys don't know, we are big on plants. At least for myself, Samir as well. Definitely a new habit. If you guys take a look here, we have a lot of our neighbors with plants. I think it's a Miami thing, or really a good weather thing for sure. But today's video is really going to be talking about why start an e-commerce business in 2020. If you haven't tuned in to my last video, we talked about how to start an e-commerce business in 2020, specifically how to start a micro brand online. So today's video is going to be, again, similar topic, really to follow up on it, to give you guys more information. I had a lot of people reach out to me, ask me questions about, hey, what's so special about e-commerce? What made you get into e-commerce in the first place after what you were doing from door-to-door sales, etc.? So let's go ahead and set this camera up somewhere here and talk about it. Let's see if Samir's still sleeping. He had a long night. Hey bro, you want to share your story from last night, my G?
As a matter of fact, I'm booking the IV trips. All right,
well,
I'll be right over.
Miami Sundays, my guys. Alright guys, so we got the new setup. Let me know how you guys like it. We're kind of still furnishing, but I think it's going to be an ongoing process for the next 12 months, so we'll see how it ends up. But let's dive right into this video. So why start an e-commerce micro brand in 2020? Right? It's very simple, at least for me. The number one reason on why you should start an e-commerce business and why I started an e-commerce business was simply the word freedom, right? Whatever that may mean for you. Whether it's time freedom or whether it's financial freedom, right? But having the leverage and having the advantage of being able to operate and live life on your own terms, not waking up to a boss, right? Not working on somebody else's schedule, not having to go somewhere every single day that you don't like or don't want to go into, right? And being able to buy what you want, essentially, spend the money however you want to, right? And really make the amount of money that you want to make, without knowing that the more work you put in, the more money you can make, right? Versus a typical 9-to-5 job or a typical job in general, you're trading your time for money, which is something that you do not want to do, or you want to get out of it if you plan on achieving time and financial freedom, right? You have to start thinking profits, right? Ever since I was a little kid, back in school, I remember I used to sell literally pocket knives, slimy, like little slimy balls, like anything I can get my hands on. At one point I was selling homemade sandwiches, right, as a kid, because I always knew that profits would get me a lot further in life than a typical salary or a typical job is, right? So if you're thinking to yourself, okay, I trade, let's say a typical person or random job, right, making $50,000 a year, you know it's really hard for you to make any more than that in a specific year unless you work another job, you give up more time, or let's say, get a better degree or learn a skill set, right? If you have a skill set, that's now more valuable, and therefore you can get paid more. And we're going to dive into skill set here in number 2. But again, what I'm really trying to say is you have to start trading your time for money and figure out how money can work for you in a sense, right? And you're able to start thinking profits by selling products, whether it's online or somewhere else, in order to really achieve that financial freedom that you're looking for. And once you do that, that will allow you to have the time freedom, because now you don't have to walk into a specific job, right? Again, think about it this way. The richest people in the world, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, for example, right? They all either sell a service, sell a product, or solve a big problem in the world. So unless you're doing one of those three, it's very hard for you to be able to reach that financial freedom that you're looking for. When it comes to e-commerce, The great thing about it is usually most of the times when you start an e-commerce business, you're doing either one or all three of these, right? You're either selling a product, selling a service, or solving a problem with that product or service that people want the solution to, and you're going to be able to have it and give it to those people, right? The second thing is going to be the opportunity, right? So when there's opportunity, I mean personal opportunity and then the market opportunity as well, right? When it comes to the personal opportunity, the reason why I dropped out of school personally was because they just weren't teaching me the skills and really they just weren't teaching me the skills that I wanted to learn in school, that I wanted to apply in my life, whether it was marketing, sales, or become a businessman in general, right? As a young kid, I always grew up thinking, how do I become a businessman? And as I grew older and older going through schools, I kept asking that question to my teachers, to myself, and there really wasn't an answer, right? The answer used to be like, oh, you own a business, or oh, you have to do this, but I mean how? Like, how do I actually become a businessman or a business owner, right? That answer you cannot find in school, at least back when I was in school. I'm not too sure if there's any changes now. But when it comes to opportunity, right, building an e-commerce business is very simple. It is not easy, but it's very simple where anybody can do it, right? Literally, there's no limitations on why a specific person can do it. But you're going to learn a lot of skill sets. You're going to learn online advertising, whether it's through social media, Google, YouTube, etc. You're going to learn skills like sales, for example, right? You're going to learn how to sell, whether it's yourself, your company, your brand, or sell specific products to people in the masses, right? You're going to learn, accounting, for example. You're going to learn how to budget. You're going to learn how to forecast. So there's a lot of real life skills when it comes to business that you're going to be able to learn just by starting and trying to start an e-commerce micro brand online, right? Then you take a look at the market in general. I'm going to throw up a graph right here, right? Over the last 5 to 10 years, e-commerce has seen exponential growth. Year after year after year, the whole industry as a whole has been shifting to online shopping for anything and everything, right? If you take a look back 2 to 3 years, there is no such thing as online grocery shopping, right? This year alone, online grocery shopping exploded because everything was closed during COVID, during the pandemic. And that really allowed people to create new habits, right? And once you create a new habit, it's hard to get out of it, right? So what that means is the world is kind of getting more lazy in a sense, right? And e-commerce is one of those reasons. Obviously, take a look at the richest person in the world, Jeff Bezos. What do? E-commerce, Amazon. You can buy anything you want off Amazon. It'll be delivered to you within a day, sometimes even within the same day or within the week, right? But online e-commerce sales is booming. And this year, and specifically because of COVID, I mean, we had one of our biggest months this year because of COVID. I think we made about $250,000. I'll also throw a screenshot right here during like March or April, because that was during the prime time of when people were home and online shopping. And again, there's a lot of new and again, the online e-commerce space is only going to grow, right? People are only going to start shopping online. You see some of the biggest brands in the world this year got shut down out of their brick and mortar, their physical locations, and start trending towards the online sales, right? It's convenient, it's smarter, it's easier, and it's a lot cheaper. It saves you a lot more money than having to go ahead and buy or lease a physical location and tie yourself into a long-term commitment, right? Whether it's a year, 2, 3 years, in order to have your products in that specific store. For example, let's talk about some of the biggest e-commerce brands that have been growing over the last few years, right? Fashion Nova. Fashion Nova is, I'm sure everybody watching this video will know. If you don't, it's really just an online retail space for women clothing, right? If you take a look at Fashion Nova, it is an e-commerce brand, right? It does not sell anything unique by any means, right? The same type of product, the same type of clothing you find there, you can find in 1,000 other retail stores right around your house or online or really anywhere, right? But the reason why Fashion Nova is so good is because of the brand they built around that product, right? The online brand that they build around that product and the feeling that product gives to the woman who buys from Fashion Nova, right? So if you think about it this way, Fashion Nova, what I'm trying to say is Warren Buffett, right, one of my mentors, and again, one of the biggest investors in the world, says buy commodities, sell brands. Fashion Nova, all it's doing is it's buying a commodity and selling it as a brand, right? It established this big home name brand that is Fashion Nova that they put on these commodities, these products, these clothing that they sell, and people buy them for a lot more than they're worth, for the value that Fashion Nova sets it at, simply because of the brand they build around them, right? And you might be thinking, okay, like, do I have to invent something, or do I have to create something new? Yes, you definitely can, but the great thing about e-commerce is you don't have to be a genius, right? You do not have to be an expert in order to come in and start a business that will make you money and give you the opportunities and the time and the money that you're looking for, right? You simply have to find a commodity that, like I mentioned in the previous video, that's trending, right? That a commodity and a product that people would buy, that would solve a problem, that could be perishable, and really be able to present it and build a micro brand around it. So just to kind of go over what we talked about, again, why start an e-commerce business in 2020, specifically now, obviously with everything going on. It's really e-commerce, I would say, at a tipping point, right? It's at a point where it's ready to skyrocket, kind of like the SpaceX rockets. Let's see if we've got a video going up here. Boom, right? It's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and the more money, the more opportunity there is, the more opportunity there is, the bigger the piece of the pie that you can come in and take it, especially if you dive into it a little bit earlier, just like I did myself. So again, right, it's going to give you the financial, and it's going to allow you to build the financial and the time freedom that you're looking for, right? It's going to give you skills that you cannot learn anywhere else, whether it's in school or, you know, your local drug dealer store or whatever it may be, right? You won't be able to learn these skill sets in school, at least not right now. So it's going to add value to you as a person, and where you can learn these skills and implement them somewhere else. And again, the opportunity, it's limitless, right? There's literally no limit on how much money and opportunity there is to make when it comes to the online space. So if